Hey, 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 welcome to your Virgo horoscopes for the week of August 27th to September 2nd. Happy birthday to all the Virgos this week, especially my Virgo baby who's turning 27 years old this week. It makes me feel kind of old, just saying. I'm not, but it does make me feel that way. We got some fun stuff going on this week, starting with the exit of Mars in Virgo. It is still going to influence Virgo a little bit, specifically at the beginning of the week as it's moving out of your sign. By the end of the week, that influence kind of sort of goes away, which is good. It's kind of an aggressive influence, to be honest. Not that that's completely bad or anything like that. Sometimes an aggressive influence is good. It's very motivating energy. And sometimes it's not. It just burns you out. So you guys have had it long enough. It's time. We do continue, of course, though, to have the sun and Mercury in your sign. And of course, we continue on with that Mercury retrograde as well. Started last week, so we still have a few weeks more to go on that one. We have a couple of things going on. First of all, at the beginning of the week, the sun, Mercury, Mars in some ways all play into a grand trine with Pluto, Uranus, and Jupiter. And Uranus is moving retrograde at the end of the week. Now, this starts to break up as the grand trine, but we do continue to have a trine all through the week between the sun and Mercury, as well as Uranus and Jupiter. So it's very powerful at the beginning of the week. It sort of slows down its power a little bit at the end of the week, but it does still have a pretty good influence here. In terms of grand trines, grand trine is basically several planets, or one planet at least, in each of the elements. In this case here, we've got two planets in Taurus. We have one planet in Capricorn, although the beginning of the week, the moon is in conjunction with Capricorn, so it plays into this grand trine also. We have the sun, Mercury, and in some cases, Mars. That's almost all the planets all coming together in a grand trine. That's pretty flippin' amazing, to be honest with you. There's only 3 planets that are not playing into this in some way. So that's a lot of influence and a lot of positive influence, which is really good, which is going to help us get through this Mercury retrograde, right? Focus is on career for you guys this week. Mercury's retrograde is, of course, going to cause some confusion and delay. It always does, especially around those that are changing jobs. But it also adds its own magic to it in some way, specifically because the sun's house is where you shine. So we're talking about really making the most of your good traits towards getting this particular career goal met, if that makes sense. We also have Uranus and Jupiter focused on your relationships, and then Pluto focused on the mind. And there's a couple of ways that we can interpret that. One, of course, we're looking at Jupiter and Uranus here. We're looking at relationships that are going to be, that you can build specifically to meet these goals. Now, relationships can be distracting, or they can be helpful. So we are making sure that we're focused on the relationships that are going to be helpful towards our goal and not necessarily the ones that are distracting. Pluto's influence in this whole thing is very interesting because Pluto is focused on the mind and how the mind works, how you think about a situation really has everything to do with the outcome. If you're constantly pessimistic about it, you're going to run into nothing but problems. That doesn't mean that if you're constantly optimistic about it, that it's just going to be super easy either, but you will run into less problems, or maybe even run into the same amount of problems, but not necessarily those problems being as big of a deal as they could be. So it just changes the energy of the problem when you change the way that you approach the problem, if that makes sense. We do have a little bit of a challenge here, of course, because we do continue to be in opposition with Neptune. Specifically, Mercury and Mars in opposition with Neptune. Mars continues to be focused on those that support you. So I feel like with Neptune's focus right on the cusp of the home and those you love, this is kind of going to bring up some very tough decisions for you. You know, there's some great opportunities, but you're definitely going to have to maybe either move or you're going to have to spend less time at home with your family. These are difficult decisions that need to be made, unfortunately. And I think a lot of us really, really spend a lot of time focused on those difficult decisions in some way. We also continue to have the sun in opposition with Saturn. Saturn is retrograde, and Saturn is very much in the home now. So it's really putting all that responsibility of the home on you specifically, and kind of sort of putting you in that place or that position to where you feel like if you take this awesome job, you're going to be not going to be able to follow through on your responsibilities at home quite so much. This is a panic response, and you Virgos know all about that panic response, right? Panic response should not be making your decisions for you. This is something that comes up, write it down, do the research, figure out if it really is a problem or if it's a problem that you're creating to kind of get in your own way. Yes, we human beings do that a whole lot. In fact, I'm pretty sure we get in our own way at least 10 times a day. You guys are no exception to that rule, unfortunately. So the more you are aware of whether you're working against yourself or with yourself, the easier it is going to be in the long run. And of course, no matter what happens, Mercury is retrograde, and Mercury is retrograde in your sign. So that means that if you are given an offer, you better read it before you sign it, to make sure you know exactly what you're signing away. This kind of stuff happens all the time when you sign something and don't realize that you like signed your rights away to something. You don't want to do any of that. So make sure that you Virgo that thing before you sign it. That's what I always tell my son. It needs to be organized. No, it needs to be Virgoed. There's like a completely two different types of organization there: regular organization and Virgo organization. And of course, what I mean by that is that detail orientedness. You guys need to use it this week for sure. So that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do click the link in the description and send me a copy. You know how much I love my coffee. If you are listening and not viewing, that's ko-fi.com/heavy metal psychic. And of course, check out heavymetalpsychic.com. Did you know you can book a reading right there on the website? It's like super easy. You just get my calendar and you go, I want that time, and boom, it is yours. It's that simple. I'm Melissa Bruce, the Heavy Metal Psychic. Thank you guys for watching again this week, and have a great week. I know you guys are going to have a great week. You guys are pretty dang amazing people. So I know whatever it is, you're going to go get it. And that's really what it comes down to. That's the whole point, isn't it? It's like going out and getting it and being awesome because you're Virgos, and that's how you roll, right? I'll see you guys next week. Make it a great week, everybody.